Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with former NBA center Paul Mokeski. Big Mo, welcome back, man.
What's going on, man?
Hey, Mo, I tell you, we missed last week, and it seems like it's been forever since we've been on. We have so much fun doing this show, interacting with our guests out there, that even 1 week away seems like forever.
That's right, man. It's had my knee replaced a week ago today, and doing my rehab and trying to get my flexibility back, and hopefully be able to walk around without any pain in my right knee. Quite the surgery though. They cut you wide open. I got 27 stitches, and they put that titanium knee in there, and it's body goes through a lot when they do that. But it's been great. Doctors were great, nurses were great. Been back home. They don't, you don't sit around anymore. You don't do that. You're up and walking with a walker and doing exercises and flexing and trying to get the knee zero extended so you're flat and up to 90% bent in your degrees, which is more than I've ever had in a long, long time. Anyway,
And this is surgery number 10 for you, and that's just part of the price of playing that non-contact sport called basketball in the NBA. In the NBA,
yeah, basketball is a contact sport and football is a collision sport. One of the doctors said
that's a
that
good
on
one, Mo.
One of the doctors said that, because there was a couple incidents in the NFL this weekend in preseason where a couple players were taken off in on their in the carts, and I saw one of the doctors say that, and I'm like, I've been saying that for years.
Man, that is so true. And hey, and we like to talk a little football here. I see you already got your Kansas City Chiefs cap on. They opened the season with my Lions, but they are the prohibitive favorites to repeat as Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, but it's hard to do. We know it's so hard to repeat, and you got to be really good. You got to get some breaks. You got to get lucky. You got to stay injury free. One of the biggest abilities in football anymore is availability. So there's so much to go on in a season, and it's a long season. But they've been there. They have all the pieces, but so do a lot of different teams. So it's going to be interesting. The Lions have making great progress over the last couple of years, and you know, in my opinion, it's about time to stand up or move over, because at some point, getting the participation trophy is not good enough.
Right. It's time to start. It's great to play hard, but you got to win some of these games. And what's up, Steve? Good to hear from you, brother. Eagles versus Chiefs in Super Bowl again. A lot of people are thinking that, but right now everybody is excited about their team, though. You
Oh
know.
yeah, every year at this time, no matter what sport, everybody's excited. Everybody sees new faces come in or old faces get better, and everybody's healthy right now, and everybody's, you know, glad. Everybody thinks they have a chance at it, and in reality, everybody does. In
Yeah,
their own heads.
yeah, yeah. And 2 weeks into the season, they'll be fire the coach, fire the coach, play the backup quarterback. But
Yeah.
but but that's football. But this is a great time of year. You got uh, baseball heading down the home stretch, and you get into some of these pennant races, and then you get the start of football. We got college football starting off this weekend, and 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 speaking of college football and college sports, Mo, and we've touched on this some during the summer. I mean, all the stuff that's going on with these conferences now.
Hmm.
Uh, the USC, UCLA in the doggone Big Ten. this is all a money grab, clearly. But is it going to come to the point where you got one or two super conferences and everybody else just playing a club sport?
I mean, I thought this was coming for a long time, and I said years ago, if you're Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, go down all USC, go down all the big time football schools. You control your own fate because TV wants to give you money, billions of dollars. So, why? If I was in those universities, and I was athletic directors, I would call up everybody. Let's make our own conference, and let's get out of the NCAA. What do we need the NCAA for? We don't need them. We could do our own TV contract, our own sponsorship contract, have our own schedule, and everybody makes a lot of money. The clink in that armor though is, most of these teams look at Michigan's preseason, schedule before the league starts. That's how they get their wins up,
Yes.
So you buy these wins and you schedule these wins. So now you're going into the conference and you're 8-1 or 7-2 or whatever, and you go.
I mean, that's such a good point, Mo. And I love the way you frame that. You're literally buying wins with some of these games. Notre Dame is playing Tennessee State in 2 weeks. Come on, man.
There's a reason those are called money games, because actually it's money. So Notre Dame is paying them 100, 200, plus hotels and food to come into play. They're writing them a check.
That will fund their athletic program for the fall.
Absolutely. Right. Basketball is even more so. So, if and you do your own schedule besides the league schedule, you do your own schedule. I've done it before. And, if you're like at Stony Brook where I was, we needed to make $250,000 in money games. So what I wanted to do is make that in the least amount of games possible, because you're going to get beat by 40 or 50. And I want to do it with coaches that I know they'll only beat me by 40, not 60. They'll pull their starters out. And, so, I can go to Utah when I used to know Rick Majerus and, get 100 from him, and then maybe go to Kansas and get 150 from them. I lose both games by 50 something, but now I got my budget and now I can go. That's how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's college football. You played at Kansas, one of the great blue blood programs. You played in front of sold out arena all the time. And you see the money that's going around, the NIL deals now, the influx of the transfer portal. But Paul, there is a downside to that. I saw a stat where I got to get this right. I believe 40% of the players, 45% of the players who entered the NCAA basketball transfer portal did not find a team and don't have a place to play this year.
Yeah,
that's almost 40. That's almost half the guys.
Yeah, so they're gonna tuck their tail between their legs and try to go back to the school they left to see if they'll take them back, and that's happened before. It just happened at Kansas, or they're gonna have to find some school somewhere, and quite frankly, some of those guys are gonna end up in Division II or NAIA because there's a limited number of scholarships. So it's like players that come out early in college because some of their people say they're going to get drafted and they never get drafted, and they got to go play overseas or somewhere because they listen to them, except this is on a 100 times multiplied scale.
Yeah, and I definitely understand having the freedom to use that transfer portal if you think the situation is not right, because the coaches have that freedom to move on. But it is really backfiring on a lot of kids who think they can just go out there. Oh, I'll go to to North Carolina or Duke or whatever. They're not thinking about you, dude.
No, it's and they have scholarships that are taken, and you got to think these things through, and there's going to be limitations put on that transfer portal. I think as soon as next year, where you're limited to 2 transfers in your career, I believe, and unless there's a scenario where the coach that recruited you leaves for another job, then that's a free transfer for you, which I think is correct. If the coach you're going to go play for, he leaves, you should be able to transfer and play the next year.
Yeah,
But I think they should get back to, you know, if you're not happy where you are and you're just transferring, you should have to sit out a year like you used to.
yeah. You think that? I got you. Steve's checking that Jordan Love MVP. Yeah, that would be funny in Green Bay if he's MVP. And Mo, how you feeling?
I'm upright and watching basketball and doing my rehab. So doing really good for sure. Thanks, Steve, for asking.
Yeah, and we welcome everybody out there. Give us your questions and comments. We got some things we want to get into tonight. Mo, one thing about uh, uh, being on the men, you got a chance to watch a lot of basketball the other day, and the USA Germany game was a really good game. USA had to rally down the stretch to knock off a good Germany team that had, I thought Schroeder, NBA player, uh, and Thies. I didn't even know Thies had German uh, uh, citizenship. Played really well for them, and they gave USA fits.
Yeah, and Franz Wagner, who plays for Orlando,
And
he
why?
had
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had he had 17 and 10. So they had 3 or 4 NBA players that are good NBA players, and you're looking at a USA team that's the B team. So they got good players, right? But when you look at Anthony Edwards is becoming the face of this team, and he had 34 in this game against Germany. He had to bring them back. USA was down by 16 points in this game.
yeah.
Germany had control of this game, and then USA picked up their defense, and then Anthony Edwards carried them at the end. But you're not going to be able to do this against the top teams you're going to face coming up. Now, Germany has a good team. They're very solid, and USA is lucky because their pool play that they start with is not very strong. They have New Zealand that's okay, but that's 26th in the world, I think. They have Jordan, which is not very good team, and then they have Greece, who's a good team, but they're without Giannis, so they're not. They're now the Greece team, even without Giannis, is as good as the German team, by the way. So it's not going to be an easy run. And then once they get past pool play into the top teams, you're talking about Canada, Spain, France, Lithuania. All these teams are more than capable of beating the USA team, especially the USA B team that we have going out there.
When, when, when I watched this game, our team was so small all the time. I mean, Thies was looking like Bill Walton out there, just getting rebounds and holding people off and tipping balls in.
Yeah, I mean, the size, has been a question mark. But Steve Kerr is playing small. He started playing small right from the beginning, where he starts Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Jaron Jackson Jr., who I like at 6'11". I like his game, and then Ingram. So they're starting a small lineup, and they're going to come up against big players, and that's going to be problem. And what it did is it hurt them on the rebounding. And I think Germany out rebounded by 10 or 12, and especially on the offensive glass. And, in European basketball, guys crash the offensive glass and it's very physical. And that will limit the USA team from getting rebounds and getting out and run. But it is what it is at this point. You can't add any big players. Portis is the backup big, and he's only about 6'9". So, you're looking at a lot of players that are, 6'9", 6'8", 6'10", maybe, except for Jaren Jackson Jr. So it is what you got. The good news is, and I watched it, you can switch a lot of pick and rolls, which USA did. And finally, when the big guy rolls against the guard, USA is fronting the big guy in the post and making him throw over the top and turning that into a trap situation. So, it is going to be what it's not going to be easy. I wouldn't be surprised if USA gets a bronze or, maybe no medal. And it wouldn't surprise me if they got a gold either if they come together and play well. They play hard. I think they were kind of flat in this game, it seemed like. And then they had Reeves come in, Banchero come in, and Halliburton come in and kind of pick up the energy and got them going and got them. I think they were on like a 12-2 run or something that got them back in the game.
22-4. They went on a 22-4 run because they were down. They were actually down 16. Paul, you mentioned when you said finally fronting the post, a subtle move like that can change the game around?
Absolutely, because a lot of defenses get lazy and they switch the pick and roll, and then the big guy rolls against, let's say, Brunson. And Brunson's a small guy that has small mentality and thinks he can muscle and get down and muscle the big guy. Well, in FIBA games, you can't do that. And then they would just pass it to the big, and he turn around and shoot a hook shot. So now, instead, they are getting around and fronting him and making him throw over the top. If you watch the game against Germany in the third quarter when they were making their run, they did exactly that. Brunson fronted the post, and there was a miscommunication with the pass, and the guy threw it right out of bounds for a turnover. Right. And what you do is, if they do catch it, then you bring defensive help and you trap that big guy and make him make a play and hopefully get a turnover. Because that Team USA has to be aggressive defensively, be active defensively, get steals, deflections, and turnovers, and then attack at the other end if they're going to win the gold.
Mo, you coached at the Olympics. What is it? I always hear about these teams. We put our team together and then we get ready to play. What is it about these teams that are always together? I mean, when they go into a game, is that worth 10 points or 8 points? What is that cohesion?
Yeah, probably something like 8 or 10 maybe. But like, people got to understand that, number one, countries like Spain and France and Lithuania and all these countries put more emphasis on the World Games, that's what we're playing in right now, than the Olympics. They think the is the be all do all, and so that's what they take as number one, and all these teams, despite their stars like Luka and the Joker and Giannis, okay. But those guys have also played with their international buddies in growing up in the 14 and unders and the 16 and unders and the 18 and unders. And a lot of those guys like Dirk and Luka and all those guys have played against men when they were 16. Luka was MVP of this World Championships back in the day when he was 16 years old playing against these men. So,
16 years old, that's a junior in high school.
Absolutely. And so that's how they grow up. And there's more pride involved. So there's more practice time and growth. Teams like Team USA, you know, they were literally here for like 4 days of practice, 5 days. Then they went to Spain and had a practice and then played 2 games. Then they went to Abu Dhabi and practiced. And so they, you know, you're looking at 2 weeks right now, you know, where these other teams have been together. And this isn't our regular team. So you're talking about, you know, LeBron James and all of these guys that represent us in the Olympics last time. They're not even playing right now, and they have actually played together. So, you know, this is kind of a feeder to what's going to be in the Olympics next year in the transfer. But yeah, playing together and knowing the game. FIBA game is 8 minutes shorter than the NBA game. 8 minutes shorter. That's almost 1/4 shorter. 3-point line is shorter. Referees don't put up with any crap. If you saw the game, they're teeing up players left and right. They don't care. You can't argue with them. And, you know, runs like 3 or 4 threes in a row and you got a 12-0 run happen all the time. And in a blink of an eye, your 10-point lead turns into your 14 points down. That's the way the game is. It's just
does the shorter game help the lesser team?
Yeah, yes. If you had a team that had more talent than I had, if I could get a game that was shorter, that I would pick that because I have a chance of playing with you. You see these games, right? Germany was up by 16.
Yeah.
And they end up losing by 9 because it was at the end, right? That happens a lot. So, but also it's being used to a shorter game. I mean, hell, you know, so Brunson and these guys, you know, when they're at 40 minutes, they're thinking they still got 8 minutes left. But in FIBA, that game's over. You know.
Yeah.
So
and I would think the longer we play, the more my talent has a chance to show.
absolutely.
If I may,
You can't come out flat and just be flat. Well, that's what happened. USA came out flat against Germany.
they did.
And they were down by 10 in the first half before they knew what hit them. Right? And then it went up to 16, and then luckily they made their run. But, you know, if Germany makes, I think I counted them missing 4 or 5 wide open threes in that run. If they hit 2 or 3 of those, it's a different game again. So yeah, it's exciting. I like watching it, but people here in the United States need to realize that we can't just put our uniforms on and show up and beat everybody anymore. I mean, like I said somewhere the other day, the last 5 years, every MVP of the NBA has been an international player. And Joker and Giannis.
Giannis, yeah.
Yeah. So those have been the MVPs. So, you know, you can't just show up. It used to be when USA played other teams, they would have 1 or 2 maybe NBA guys on them. Now, I mean, Germany had 4. If you play Canada, they have like 8 NBA players. They're not scared of you. You know, France is the same thing. They have 8 also. So you know.
They used to want to get autographs.
Yeah, now they want to beat your ass now. They don't want autographs. They want to beat our ass and then say, you know, be able to show that to their kids.
I know you got a chance to go out to watch USA basketball and some of the practices in Vegas and spend a little time with your buddy Coach Kerr. Well, anything from that time you'd like to share with the audience? What you saw from some of the players and.
Well, I think it was refreshing because, you know, some of these players, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Banchero, who was a Rookie of the Year. You know, sometimes you look, when I watch practice, I kind of look at what their attitude is like. All these guys were excited to be there, excited to put USA jersey on. And they didn't walk through practice. They had energy and effort and enthusiasm. And it was nice to see of these players. And, hopefully, I think we have enough talent. And if we play with that enthusiasm and that effort, that if these guys bring home a gold from the World Games, people, Spain, Canada, France, these are great teams, man. If they could do that, that's really saying something.
You like Steve taking this? You like Steve leading this team?
Yeah, I mean, he has a demeanor about him, and that's part of what it takes. You have to have knowledge, demeanor, communication skills, and respect from the players. And that's what Popovich had. That's what Coach K had, and that's what Steve Kerr has. And if you have any question mark, just look down his bench and you see Spoelstra and Ty Lue. It's a pretty good group of coaches.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, what's happening, Mike? And Mike checks in. Basketball has truly become a more global game than it was 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, basketball all over the world. I mean, I've done clinics in China, Spain, Lithuania. When I did clinics like that 20 years ago, a lot of the kids didn't know what was what. They knew Jordan and guys like that. But if you do a clinic like that anywhere in the world, I did a clinic in China a few years ago, and a lot of the kids have LeBron and Kobe jerseys on, and they know all these guys, and that's how you grow your sport.
Steve, I think the Bucks played first NBA played the Europe's best in Milwaukee. Did you play? Were you in that game, Mo?
Yeah, it was the first year of the McDonald's Open. That's what they call it. And Spain, Banca de Roma, who had McAdoo was on it, and D'Antoni was the point guard on that team. They came to Milwaukee, and a Russian team with Marshallonis and those guys. So they all came to Milwaukee, and we played a little round robin tournament. That was the first time international teams came over and played in the United States. And I think we beat Banca de Roma by 30, and then Russia by 20 or something. We had a good team, but yeah. So then a few years later, they made that travel, and that's been played in China. It's been played in Spain. It's been played all over the world.
And Paul, when you came in during your run in the NBA, you played in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Came in late 70s, 80s, and 90s. You saw Tony Kukoc come into the league. He was the big thing from Europe, and of course, before him, the big center Sabonis.
Yeah, but one of the first guys was Petrovic. Petrovic came over.
Drazen Petrovic.
Yeah, he played for New Jersey. I played against Vlade Divac. Rudy Marshallonis from Russia. I played with him at Golden State. That was the start of, I would say, probably 10 to 12 European players playing in the NBA at that time. And now I would think it's 40, 50 probably playing in the NBA now. So yeah, it's changed. But yeah, those guys came over. Divac and those guys, they came over in their prime. But Sabonis came over after he played over in Europe for years, and he wasn't the player he was when he was young. I actually saw Sabonis play in France. I was playing in France for a team in France, and I went to an All-Star game that Sabonis played in when he was 7'2" and 280 pounds, not 340 pounds. And I mean, he could run the court. He was like the Joker and Giannis put together. That's what he was like.
Whoa.
He could run like Giannis, and he could pass like the Joker.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I mean, he popped his Achilles, and then he had another problem before he came over to Portland. I mean, that he came to Portland with this. He was like a 32-year-old rookie, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mo, I got to ask you about an American player here that this dude, one of the NBA most prolific scorers in recent years. I'm talking about, of course, James Harden. James Harden's not happy, Mo. And I remember on this show talking about. I think I mentioned to you when he signed an extension in Philly. Oh, this is what we're gonna do here. I'm doing this extension. It was about 6 weeks ago, and now he's pissed and he wants to be traded for the third time in 3 years. He wants to be traded. This is what he said about Daryl Morey of the Sixers. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he is a part of. All of a sudden, James Harden wants to be traded again. Mo, the guy, I don't get him, man. I don't understand it.
What a surprise! I mean, come on, man. It's so simple to read. I mean, James Harden, Ben Simmons, Kyle, a guy in Dallas now who was traded from Brooklyn.
Kyrie
Irving. Guess what? He's going to be one traded again. So, come on, man. You get what you get what you got. They are what they are. Come on. And sometimes it's not everybody else. It's you. But I'm going to tell you the really
and this time it goes.
Part of this is that when he called Daryl Morey a liar, not only is that not a good thing to call someone that used to be your friend and actually paid you hundreds of millions of dollars in Houston, but also it's not smart because now he just brought the NBA investigators in play here because they're going to want to know. So they're going to interview him. You called Daryl Morey a liar. What did he lie about? Did he lie about your contract? Did he tell you something under the table that was going to happen later? That's against the negotiation rules. What did he lie about? And I'll tell you what he lied about. Harden agreed to that buy-in of a mere $35 million, whatever it was. Sacrificed, to make 35 mil. And then I guarantee that Daryl Morey, probably in a conversation somewhere, said, listen, just sign this, and then I'm going to get an extension for you, another 3 years, and then you can go on the sunset and everybody will be cool. We'll pay you 100 million, 200, whatever it is now. And what I think happened is, because Daryl Morey is not the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. Daryl Morey is not the last voice of the Sixers. Daryl Morey does not make those decisions. He's not the last say on that. That would go to the owner, whose name is Josh Harris. And I'm thinking that, Daryl probably spoke out of turn and brought that to Harden. And then when the time was up, and he said, hey, okay, we're going to take care of our boy Harden. Josh Harris said, wait a minute, time out. I'm not doing that. He's a headache, not what he used to be. I'm not going to pay him $200 million. And we're going to have to go another direction. I guarantee, I'm pretty much sure that's what happened. And that's why Harden was upset. And that's why he called Daryl a liar. But people out there, you got to understand that, the GMs are not this do all, say all. They're not. I mean, there's no deal done that Mark Cuban doesn't okay in Dallas. Period. End of story. And that's for almost all the teams.
Yeah. And David Finkel, this says this is the third time recently Harden has disrupted 3 teams, Houston, Nets, and Sixers. What is the problem? That's what Mo just touched on. Totally with you there, David. But Paul, but the thing is, even without all that, the way he plays, I don't think it's championship basketball. I don't think he can.
Well,
I mean,
obviously,
I'm sure he could play on a championship team,
I don't know.
but I
I,
don't think.
I don't know if he could. I don't know if he could. I think he would disrupt the team more than help it. Could he play on the Warriors? I
I
don't
don't
know.
think he could.
I don't think so. He dribbles too much. He's set in his ways. And, you can say whatever you want, but behind the scenes, you're saying other stuff to other people, teammates, people around you. So if I'm in Philly, right, I'm the GM or the owner of Philly. I'm going to take this negative and make it a positive. Here's how I'm going to do that. Listen, Harden's never been a part of a championship team. Harden is never happy. Harden led the league in assists this year, and we still didn't get to the East Finals. So why don't we let Maxey take over the point guard spot only because he's our future, and he can play with Embiid and Tobias Harris and Beverly, who we just picked up, and PJ Tucker. And then why don't we get rid of Harden and get somebody in here that could be some fresh blood and some excitement? How about, this is probably not doable, but how about Trae Young? Why don't we go after Trae Young, who's not happy in Atlanta? Atlanta's not going anywhere. And we can trade Harden, who is now desirable because he has 1 year left of $35 million, and then he's a free agent. You can let him go, and all that goes back on your salary cap. That's a plus. So if Atlanta's retooling, we can get rid of Trae Young, bring in Harden for a year, do whatever we do, and let him go and we get our draft picks and our stuff. Why don't we do something like that? Or why don't you do something crazy like you call the Bulls up, right? Lonzo Ball is out for the season. Can't play, right?
Right.
So why don't we say, okay, we'll get Harden in here to play a season at point guard and see if he can help us do some winning. And we'll give Philly DeMar Rosen, another older guy, but a different player than Harden. We'll give you DeMar Rosen. And then we put Embiid, Maxey, Tobias Harris, DeMar Rosen, PJ Tucker. Now we got something going. Let's try that.
Hey, Mo. David says, "Come on, man. That's my Hawks. You trying
Well,
to?"
what place did they come in last year, David? Like 8th, 9th, 10th? You got to do something. Now's your chance to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the Hawks made that run, I think it's almost 3 years ago now.
It was 3 years ago.
And they really weren't that good then. And it's kind of thrown everything off because, we got to the finals, conference finals, gave the Bucks fits, and they hadn't come close to that. David says they should not have fired McMillan.
We already told him that got fired.
Well, David, I don't know if you saw. I got to tell him this. I don't know if you saw that. Watched our show when all that was going on. When McMillan sat Trae Young for not coming to shoot around. Mo said he was not long for Atlanta after that happened, and sure enough, he was gone. And Coach,
Trae Young knew what he was doing. Trae Young knew if he didn't show up for that game, he knew who was on the hot seat, and he knew what he was doing. He was, in his way, getting rid of McMillan.
Yeah. And that's not the first time that's happened in the National Basketball Association. But let's put a cap on the Harden thing, because Mo, I want to go back to purely basketball. You can't send him to. I mean, you can send him anywhere, but he doesn't help a team that's not going to make the playoffs. He'll just score a lot of points. But he doesn't fit with a championship caliber team because the way he plays is so disruptive. So what's his value?
I mean, his value is his contract.
His contract.
He's got a 1-year expiring contract. That's his value. And now, you know, you could take a flyer on him and bring him in, and if you like what you have and he helps your team or whatever, you can extend him if you want, or you can let him go and use that salary cap money. So you have control. You know, I don't know where he would fit. I mean, you know, I don't know. Does it fit with the Lakers? You know, at least one thing he could do that Westbrook couldn't do is he could shoot. You know, and he's a better decision maker than Westbrook. So, you know, but what do you have to give up for him? You know, you're gonna have to give up something for him. So as a team that's getting him, you want to give up something you don't want that much. That's why there's so much lying going on in the NBA at this time in the trade deadline, because you don't want people to know what you want and what you don't want. You know, and you know, so, but you know, if I'm a top 4 team in the East or the West, why would I want him? I don't. I mean, you know, he should have stayed where he's at, because that Philly could be a top 4 team, but Boston, Milwaukee, no, none of them want him. You know, he's in Philly and he doesn't want to be there. So what other top? You know, Miami. You know, maybe Miami, because you know, Kyle Lowry is more of a backup point. You know, that might be a good fit. But then what do you have to give up for him? It's like the Lillard deal. So
draft picks.
Well, if I'm Philly, then okay, give me Tyler Hero, and you won't do that. So what I'll settle for is Duncan, which is better than what I got, and then a couple of draft picks and maybe one more player. I'm happy if I'm Philly. Go ahead, take Harden. So you deal with it.
Yeah.
And they got great strip clubs in Miami, I hear.
Hey, we just got a couple of more minutes here. We got a little abbreviated show tonight. But Mo, we got the NBA announces in-season tournament. And they got the groupings. You know what? For our audience, I'm going to play this little explanation from former NBA player Richard Jefferson.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
The NBA first ever in-season tournament is now official. But how does it work? Like this. First up is group play. All 30 teams will be split into 6 groups, 3 from the East, 3 from the West, with a random draw based on last year's regular season records. Here's what the groups look like in the West. Here's what they look like in the East. Each team in a group plays each other one time. A total of 4 games, 2 at home, 2 on the road.
1, 2, 3, yeah.
Now, those games happen Tuesdays and Fridays in November, so set your calendar. Basically, these regular season NBA games also count as tournament games. Now, in each group, the team with the best group play record after those 4 games, they're moving on. The team with the next best record in each conference, those 2 are the wild cards. Always watch out for the wild cards. Now, we get to the knockout round. 8 teams, single elimination, and you know what that means. Win and move on, or lose, and you're out. And the last 4 teams standing, guess what? You're headed to Vegas, baby. That's right. In Las Vegas, the semifinal battles will get us to the championship game on December 9th. 2 teams in a winner-take-all final to be named champion and be awarded the first ever NBA Cup. Come on now. Look, there's a lot to look.
I'm sure LeBron can't wait for this.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about how many more European players are in the NBA now, and this is a sign towards that, because this is European FIBA basketball. So during the regular season, say you're playing in Spain, the highest level in Spain, there's probably a preseason cup, a midseason cup, and then the championship cup, and that's what you play for. You know, the good thing is nobody's playing more games. They're just games on your schedule. They're regular season games that apply to this pool play until you get to Vegas. And then once in Vegas, which guess what, people? A lot of NBA players like to be in Las Vegas a lot. So you're going to get it. You know, if I'm LeBron, I might want to be in Vegas so I can play some craps and play some golf. So, you know, and guess what? If I win the cup, every player gets $500,000. I mean, you know, that's not chump change. I don't care how much you're making. So, and then it goes down. I think second place, everybody gets 200 grand. And plus, the people in the league, you don't understand that. You know, you have 5 or 6 or 7 players making 10 million plus. Everybody else is making 2-3 million. So 500 grand to them is, you know, a quarter of their salary. You know, you will be playing 2 extra games here in Las Vegas, but you know, no big deal. It's going to be interesting to see who really is involved in this, because they're going to play their players more in those games than they normally would with their rest time. So, you know, you're going to know teams that don't give a crap about this are going to be resting their players on Tuesday and Thursday night. Stay tuned. But, you know what? It's a try by Adam Silver to add some more excitement, because we know for years and years the NBA doesn't even start till playoffs, and none of the players care till the playoffs, which is bullcrap, by the way. You know, players play all the time and play hard all the time, but you know, so let's see what happens. And you know, it's you know, there's no harm, and you know, you can get another ring, maybe, who knows.
and they're coming to Vegas, so I'm sure a lot of your buddies will be in town, so you'll get a chance to see some old friends or whatever for the Final Four when it comes out.
Final Four, baby.
For that.
I mean, let's look at, like, Vegas is going to have an NBA team soon, probably 2 or 3 years when the TV contract's out. The Super Bowl is coming this year. It's here in Las Vegas. The Final Four will be in Las Vegas in 2 more years or 3 more. So why not have the NBA early season cup?
Absolutely. And I'm all for it. We got to start the petition. Big Mo, general manager of the new NBA team coming to Phoenix.
Shoot, I just think let me be a consultant or a scout or something. I don't want to be GM.
I tell you what, you could definitely do it. That is for sure. Hey, but we got to get out of here, Mo. We got to cut this off a little earlier tonight. But it is great to be back. We should be back on our schedule. Big Mo's off the injured list now. So we'll be back next Monday at 9 o'clock.
Still got my walker. I use my walker.
Getting better and better. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. For the big fella, Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Peace. Have a great week, everybody.
See you later, man.
See you, Mo.